Elon Musk reveals the millionaire secret about trusting a black mendiga in love. You won't believe the story that's shaking Silicon Valley to its core. James Carter, the man everyone calls untouchable, wealthy, powerful, untamed, walking through the city's neon-lit streets, lost, broken, alone, in a world where money moves mountains but can't fix a shattered heart. The tabloids say he has it all, but tonight, the roar of the city feels cold. The lights don't shine on him, they drown him. Children's laughter echoes off steel and glass. But inside him, a hollow ache grows heavier with every step. His hands tremble, not from cold, but from the weight of a loneliness no fortune can erase. Then, from the shadows, comes Maya. You'd miss her if you blinked. Her clothes ragged, eyes sharp, skin glowing with a story carved by pain and fire. She's a black woman, homeless, carrying wisdom carved by fights no one wants to see. Yet there's a spark inside her that refuses to die. The kind of hope that burns slow and steady through storms and silence. James stops. Their worlds collide, not with a bang, but a pulse. The city's hum pressing around them. Maya looks up, and in her gaze, something breaks open inside him. No pretense, no crowns, no titles. Just two souls standing on cracked pavement, trembling but alive. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Maya knows things, secrets, tied to James's latest project, a tech innovation that promises to change lives, but if mishandled, could ruin him entirely. A weapon, dressed as a miracle, and she holds the key. Their conversation is raw, jagged, electric. Fear gnaws at James's chest, a lump choking his words. Maya speaks softly, her voice steady but fierce, her past bleeding through each phrase. They share their pain, their battles with ghosts no boardroom can fix. Whispers start behind them, a crowd forming, curious, judgmental, hungry for scandal. Some mouths curl in disgust. What's a billionaire doing with a homeless woman? Others murmur in awe, sensing something real beneath the surface. But James is already trapped, pulled toward a truth he never wanted to face. Quiet laughter breaks the tension for a split second. Maya's resilience striking a chord deep inside him. The possibility of love, fragile but fierce, flickers. Then comes the bombshell. A hidden piece of Maya's past comes roaring out. A connection that thread them both together tighter than they imagined. His mind races, heart pounds. Could this be betrayal or salvation? How deep does this rabbit hole go? The city murmurs around them, indifferent, yet watching. Trust becomes a knife's edge. Secrets threaten to rip apart everything James fights to protect. The empire he built, the heart he's just beginning to open. Will this fragile bond survive the storm? Can James shed the shadows of his own past? Or will the darkness swallow them whole before the dawn breaks? One thing's certain, nothing will ever be the same again. Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. James's heart thudded loud in his chest, the world around him fading to a dull murmur. He could feel Maya's presence, grounding him even as the whispers of the crowd swirled like a storm around them. Trust hung in the air, sharp and electric, promising freedom but also threatening to bind him in ways he couldn't yet comprender. In that fragile moment, as secretas hovered just beyond their reach, Maya leaned closer. Her eyes held a fire that ignited a hope he didn't dare to believe in. "You need to listen to me," she whispered, urgency creeping into her voice. "There's something you don't understand about your project." Before James could respond, a distant shout broke through the background noise. A raucous laugh, harsh and disruptive, cutting the air like a knife. It came. "Look at you!" Blake jeered, stepping closer. "Grinding it out with the city's lost?" The crowd tensed, the energy shifting. Curious eyes now turning towards the tension. Blake's gaze locked onto James, and in that instant, something snapped. "You think she has your back? Think again." James's throat constricted. "What are you talking about? Didn't anyone tell you?" Blake's smile twisted, malicious satisfaction dancing in his eyes. He leaned closer, his voice dripping with venom. "Your little project isn't what it seems. It's not just about innovation. It's about manipulation, and she's part of it." Maya recoiled, her eyes widening. "What?" Fear flickered across her face, mingling with confusion. "That's not true!" But the crowd was hungry, deliciously absorbed by the drama unfolding. James felt their glares, the heavy weight of their judgment crashing around him. "Blake, stop!" he shouted, but it was too late. The seed of doubt had been planted, roots spreading fast. "Let me tell you a secret," Blake continued, the crowd hanging on his every word. "Maya is not just some random woman. She's connected. She knows things about your past, about your family." The breath caught in James's throat like a shard of glass. He never spoke about his family. Their ghosts haunted him. Memories of betrayal, pain. He had buried them deep. But now, the walls felt like they were crumbling. "Stop!" he shouted, his voice tremoring. But the truth was already weaving its way through the faces around him, whispers erupting like fire in dry grass. Maya's expression shifted, the fire in her eyes dimming, twisting into something fearful. "James, I didn't," Maya began. But her voice faltered as shadows of doubt crawled across his heart. He could hardly breathe, feeling the weight of betrayal hanging heavily in the air. A sudden crash interrupted the moment. A bicycle careened into a lamppost nearby, the noise sending a collective gasp through the crowd. Sensing the shift in focus, Maya took a step back, confusion etched deep on her face. "You need to understand," she pleaded, but panic had settled into his bones. Was she manipulating him? What did Blake know? Was this all a setup? Questions spiraled, hammering at his consciousness, unrelenting. "Stay away from her," he warned, but a flicker of fear now danced in Maya's eyes. Did he truly trust her? Or had he been foolish to believe in the connection they shared? In that moment, the world felt different. Everything he thought he knew began to unravel like a frayed rope. Heart racing, he turned away from Maya, thrust into the chaos surrounding him. Just when the pieces of his life seemed to align, they shattered into 1,000 shards. Maya's voice trembled, reaching for him. "James, wait!" But his mind screamed for clarity as the mob closed in, hungry for scandal and truth. Would she fold under pressure, revealing secrets he wasn't ready to face? Or had she already scattered pieces of his life across the pavement, leaving nothing but uncertainty behind? There, amidst the swirling chaos, everything teetered on a knife's edge, ready to fall. James feels the world around him tremble. The crowd's whispers rising, a wave that pulls him close to Maya. His heart races, but so much heat comes from her gaze. It's like she sees the pieces he hides. Their silence is electric. There's so much wrapped in this moment. Trust teeters on a knife's edge. Then a woman screams. The sound slices through them, sharp and raw. A split second of confusion. James whirls around. His breath hitches. A figure stumbles from the crowd, disheveled, wild eyes darting. It's a man. A flash of recognition igniting a storm in James' chest. Kyle, his old friend. No, more than that. Once they were brothers in arms, but they parted ways over a rift deeper than the ocean, and it tore apart their lives. Friendship lost in the chaos of ambition. "James!" Kyle's voice bursts like a gunshot. "You need to listen. It's urgent." The crowd hushes, every eye snapping to the scene unfolding. Maya steps back, caught in a storm she can't understand. James's stomach twists. He knows better than anyone. Urgency can break even the strongest bonds. "What's going on?" James snaps, irritation and fear sprouting from the pit of his stomach. This isn't how it was supposed to be. Not tonight. I'm not safe," Kyle gasps, glancing around like shadows are closing in. "They're coming for you, man. For both of us. The project, it's bigger than we thought." Confusion threatens to drown James. What could Kyle possibly mean? Suddenly, the air thickens around him like a steel blanket. "What do you mean? What's happening?" "Heroes and villains don't wear capes in this world," Kyle says, voice low, urgent. "You've been played. Those people you trust, it's all a setup." James feels like he's falling. Everything he knew about his empire, the people around him, crumbling like dust in his hands. His pulse quickens, anxiety spiraling. Is it true? Maya watches, eyes darting between them, her expression a mix of concern and disbelief. He opens his mouth, wanting to push back, deny the escalating dread. But Kyle's gaze holds a weight that feels too real. "Why are you telling me this?" James demands, desperate for clarity. It's about your family," Kyle breathes, each word heavier than the last. "The tech, it wasn't just a dream for you. There are people who want to take you down. You never knew what you were creating." Maya steps forward, confusion sown with concern. "What do you mean? What's he talking about?" James's heart pounds. He glances at her, knowing this revelation could shatter whatever fragile bond they've just started to build. "It's not true," he whispers. "It can't be." But Kyle takes a deep breath, framing an ugly truth in harsh strokes. "I thought it was just money, just tech. But it's a weapon, James. People are already dead because of it, and they aren't stopping at you." Stunned silence engulfs the street, the city lights dimming under the weight of Kyle's declaration. An electric stillness coats the crowd. People lean in closer, hungry for the scandal, the drama. Some pull out phones. The spectacle is too good not to capture. Panic flares inside James's chest, a fire spreading too fast to contain. He looks back at Maya. Her eyes shine with a mixture of empathy and fear. James's mind races. Could the project really be a weapon? Did he unknowingly walk into a trap, drawn in by trust and ambition? One thought claws at him. Could Kyle be trying to save him? Or is he part of the danger? Confusion spirals through his mind as the shadows of doubt loom larger. A shattering noise echoes nearby, a smashed glass as someone drops their phone in shock. The world shifts, trust collapses, everything hangs in the air, pregnant with uncertainty. What do we do? Maya's voice pierces through the chaos, raw and trembling. We need to figure this out, James says, but the words feel too small. The night is thick with tension, secrets spiraling like smoke, wrapping tighter around them. And in that moment, he realizes everything he thought he knew is nothing more than a facade waiting to crack. He glances back at Maya. The weight of their connection is suddenly heavier, deeper, as the crowd murmurs and gasps. The future opens in front of them. A dark road of uncertainty, betrayal, and potential salvation that could change everything. Will they find the truth before it devours them? The city holds its breath, and he knows, without a doubt, nothing will ever be the same again. James feels the world around him tremble, the crowd's whispers rising, a wave that pulls him close to Maya. His heart races, but so much heat comes from her gaze. It's like she sees the pieces he hides. Their silence is electric. There's so much wrapped in this moment. Trust teeters on a knife's edge. Then a woman screams. The sound slices through them, sharp and raw. A split second of confusion. James whirls around. His breath hitches. A figure stumbles from the crowd, disheveled, wild eyes darting. It's a man, a flash of recognition igniting a storm in James's chest. Kyle, his old friend. No, more than that. Once they were brothers in arms, but they parted ways over a rift deeper than the ocean, and it tore apart their lives. Friendship lost in the chaos of ambition. James, Kyle's voice bursts like a gunshot. You need to listen. It's urgent. The crowd hushes, every eye snapping to the scene unfolding. Maya steps back, caught in a storm she can't understand. James's stomach twists. He knows better than anyone. Urgency can break even the strongest bonds. What's going on? James snaps, irritation and fear sprouting from the pit of his stomach. This isn't how it was supposed to be. Not tonight. I'm not safe, Kyle gasps. Glancing around, like shadows are closing in. They're coming for you, man, for both of us. The project, it's bigger than we thought. Confusion threatens to drown James. What could Kyle possibly mean? Suddenly, the air thickens around him like a steel blanket. What do you mean? What's happening? Heroes and villains don't wear capes in this world, Kyle says, voice low, urgent. You've been played. Those people you trust, it's all a setup. James feels like he's falling. Everything he knew about his empire, the people around him, crumbling like dust in his hands. His pulse quickens, anxiety spiraling. Is it true? Maya watches, eyes darting between them, her expression a mix of concern and disbelief. He opens his mouth, wanting to push back, deny the escalating dread. But Kyle's gaze holds a weight that feels too real. "Why are you telling me this?" James demands, desperate for clarity. It's about your family," Kyle breathes, each word heavier than the last. "The tech, it wasn't just a dream for you. There are people who want to take you down. You never knew what you were creating." Stunned silence engulfs the street, the city lights dimming under the weight of Kyle's declaration. An electric stillness coats the crowd. People lean in closer, hungry for the scandal, the drama. Some pull out phones. The spectacle is too good not to capture. But then, without warning, a sharp blast rings out, like a thunderclap in the night. A fountain of glass shatters nearby, sending shards flying. A woman shrieks. Chaos erupts. People scream and rush, the crowd morphing into a wave of panic. James instinctively shields Maya, his heart racing. He turns to Kyle, but Kyle's eyes are wide, fear clouding his features as he shouts, "Run!" Before he can process the chaos, he sees a figure emerge from the shadows. A man, tall and ominous, wearing a long coat that billows like smoke. James recognizes him. Adrian, the one who shaped James's past in ways he can hardly fathom. Waves of dread ripple through him. "James!" Adrian calls, voice smooth but laced with danger. "Did you think you could escape me?" All the breath seems to leave James's body. Everything, every secret, every nuance of his life could intersect here. Maya looks between them, confusion mixed with fear twisting her brow. "What's happening?" she cries out, but the question hangs unanswered in the whirlwind of panic. James's mind races, a past he hoped to bury. A tangled web of deceit and betrayal suddenly surfacing. "Adrian, stop!" James yells, his voice drowned in the cacophony of flight and fear. But Adrian doesn't flinch. Instead, he smiles, a chilling grin that sends a shiver rippling down James's spine. "You think you're the one holding the reins?" Adrian sneers. "You really have no idea what you've unleashed." James's pulse pounds in his ears. Maya's presence beside him feels like an anchor in this storm, but now it's tethered to a growing abyss. Everything he relied upon shatters like glass, leaving jagged edges of panic. The chaos intensifies, people scrambling. But his eyes lock onto Adrian's, understanding dawning. Friends turn into foes, allies into threats. "What do you mean?" he barely breathes, heart lurching with dread. "I'm going to show you, James," Adrian says, his voice syrupy with malice. "You are about to discover how deep the rabbit hole really goes." In that moment, a horrifying realization washes over James like ice water. Trust splintered, relationships in ruins. Everything he thought was real comes crashing down, leaving him breathless on the brink of an unraveling he never saw coming. Will he truly see the light amid the darkness? Or will the flames swallow him whole? The air brims with tension, and in the shadows, secrets shift, waiting to ensnare him in the next breath. James's heart races as the weight of their shared truths hangs in the air. Maya's eyes glisten like the rarest gems, too deep to decipher, full of scars and strength. Could their lives be so intertwined? But just as he struggles to grasp this thread of connection, the world around them shifts violently. A sudden scream pierces the cool night air, cutting through the tension like a jagged blade. The crowd stirs, murmurs igniting into chaos. What was that? Someone calls out, voices surging in panic. A shadow darts past them, too fast to catch, but not too fast to feel the electric chill it sends through the small gathering. Maya's expression hardens, her instincts kicking in. "We need to move," she urges, her voice steady as the crowd begins to scatter. But James stands frozen, his mind racing. The urgency of the moment clashes with the gravity of their conversation. Just as he opens his mouth to respond, the sound of shattering glass explodes nearby. A woman shrieks, and in an instant, all eyes shift towards a black SUV skidding to a halt in the street, tires screaming. A figure leaps out, dressed in a dark suit, face concealed by a mask. Panic envelops the crowd as people rush to flee, scattering like leaves in a storm. James feels sweat trickle down his back, reality slamming into him. His instincts scream at him to run, yet here he is, paralyzed beside Maya. A thief! A criminal! It didn't matter. The figure knows exactly whom to target. "Quarter!" The masked assailant barks, voice laced with venom. That voice claws at James' memory, tossing him back into a past he thought long buried. Maya's grip on his arm tightens, eyes wide, but James feels a gnawing recognition. "Wait," he breathes out, heart pounding. "I know him!" As if sensing the connection, the figure turns his attention, locking eyes with James. The crowd's chaos falls silent. A fragile stillness threading through the air. "You thought you could shake me?" he spits, unmasking a face twisted in rage. Someone from James' past, a rival who had been lost to him, a ghost that refused to fade. But then comes the thunderclap. The rival reveals something that sends shockwaves through James' every fiber. "You think she's just a homeless woman?" His eyes dart to Maya, where the truth pulses just beneath the skin. That's not who she really is. She's a player in a game bigger than you can ever imagine. The pavement feels unsteady beneath James. Confusion twists his gut. A million questions race through his mind. Maya's past, the connection, the weight of secrets buried deep. Was she playing him? Or was she the key to his salvation? Maya flinches, hurt flashing across her face. "No," she whispers, trembling. "You don't understand. It's not like that." But the doubt lingers like smoke in the air. The crowd huddles, eyes glued to the unfolding drama, excitement mingling with scandal. James steps back, a fracture splitting their fragile bond wide open. Trust is a fragile breath, and now it dangles on the edge of a knife. The truth is a monster, lurking beneath layers. What other secrets could she be hiding? How deep does the betrayal go? A storm brews on the horizon of their connection as James grapples with a reality that could shatter everything. The question hangs heavy. Can he trust her now? Or has their time already slipped away? The echoes of the city swallow them whole. But James knows one thing. Everything is about to change. As the city hummed around them, the energy pulsed like electricity, crackling in the air. James felt it deep in his bones, an electric charge igniting his heart. Maya had spoken truths he had long buried. Their bond was growing, layering itself over the scars they both carried. But just as hope began to flicker, a sudden commotion shattered the moment. A piercing scream cut through the night, echoing off the glass and steel. James's head snapped towards the sound. Panic flared in the crowd. Someone was pointing, and whispers rose, thick with confusion and fear. Is that? Oh God, no. The voices overlapped, a chaotic chorus. Maya, stay here, James commanded, instinct pressing against his ribs. He started towards the disturbance. Each step was heavy. A weight he couldn't shake off. But Maya grabbed his wrist, her grip solid and fierce. James, look. Her eyes widened at something behind him. He turned, heart pounding, pulse racing. A figure stumbled into view, face twisted in agony. Blood streamed down their arms, a stark contrast against the blinking neon lights. It was a girl, maybe 19, dressed in worn jeans and a hoodie. But what caught James's attention wasn't just her injuries. It was the way she clutched a crumpled paper tightly in her fist, knuckles white with tension. "Help! Somebody help!" she cried. Collapsing onto the sidewalk, people surged forward, drawn to the chaos. But James felt rooted. A torrent of emotions crashed over him. Fear, dread, a pulsing need to act. Then something clicked inside. The scent of coffee and sweat shifted in the air. The crumpled paper dropped from the girl's hand, sliding across the pavement, and James's heart froze. In an instant, his eyes locked onto the name scrawled across the paper. Carter Industries. A jolt of recognition shook him. This was his company, his empire, and the implications twisted like barbed wire in his stomach. The crowd gasped. Murmurs exploded. What's her connection? Does she know something? Is it a setup? Curiosity morphed into judgment, fingers pointing. The group surrounded the girl like moths to a flame, uncertainty crackling in the air. "James, we need to help her." Maya's voice was urgent, breaking through his daze. But he hesitated. Fear clawed at him. The secrets, the stakes, they had all just escalated. What if this girl was a victim, a distraction, or worse, an enemy? He faced a choice now. One wrong move, and everything he fought for, the fragile bond he felt with Maya, could shatter like glass. "Stay back!" he shouted, instinctively protecting Maya as a tangle of chaos surrounded them. The energy shifted, the air thick with tension. And then, a familiar face pushed through the crowd. Alex, his business partner, looking frantic. Panic etched across his features. "James, you need to see this." Alex's voice was sharp, cutting through the noise like a siren. And there it was, lying beneath the chaos, a betrayal lurking in the shadows. A strand connected Alex to the girl, a thread that would unravel everything James believed. Before he could process it all, the girl's eyes met his, and the world seemed to fall away. "Help me, please," she rasped, desperation lighting a fire in her gaze. James's heart hammered, each beat echoing with uncertainty. This was a line crossed, a truth exposed. Could he trust the woman before him, or was the darkness creeping in to swallow him whole? As the crowd surged, uncertainty twisted deep within him, leaving everything suspended on a knife's edge. Would rescuing this girl pull him deeper into a web of lies? Or was this the salvation he never saw coming? No answers, only questions, and the night estrechaba por la tierra thick with the weight of secrets yet to be sepa. His heart raced. Maya's gaze seemed to hold the weight of the universe, and he felt exposed, bare in a crowd buzzing with judgment. The air thickened with tension as whispers edged closer. What was this connection? What was he missing? Suddenly a shriek sliced through the murmur, sharp, piercing. A woman in the crowd collapsed, clutching her chest. Gasps rippled around them. James instinctively moved toward the chaos, adrenaline surging. As he approached, he realized her face was familiar. He recognized her from business events, a prominent tech investor. His breath hitched. She was a key player in his world. Panic erupted as others rushed to help. Someone shouted for an ambulance. People jostled, voices raised in concern, the crowd newly electric. But then it became quiet. Maya stood frozen, looking past James. Her expression shifted. Fear mingled with a striking revelation. "James," she whispered, voice trembling, "you need to listen to me." He turned to her, caught off guard. "What is it?" "I didn't meet you by accident. I was sent here." Before he could process it, chaos swirled again. A thud echoed as the investor had fallen, and the medics battled through the crowd. Eyes were wide, hearts pounding. James struggled to get close, torn by a mix of urgency and confusion. Maya's eyes locked onto his. "You need to trust me. The project you're working on, it's bigger than you think. Someone wants to sabotage you." His head spun. "What? How do you know this?" "Because I've seen the blueprints. I know the people involved. I was there when they plotted." A frown pinched James's brow. "Why would you—" The investor let out a ragged breath. James flinched, the noise spilling into the air like broken glass. Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance, cutting into his thoughts. "I'm not just a homeless woman. I was in the system. Other people like me use that knowledge to survive. But I thought I had a way out. Until they found me." Horrible words spilled out like a flood. "They're watching you, James." Around them, the crowd's attention diverted to the fallen investor. A resounding thump echoed again, the sound of someone's feet hitting the pavement. Up ahead, a tall figure emerged, dark and brooding, slipping through the crowd like a shadow. The air became charged with electricity. James's instincts screamed danger. "James, it's time to leave," Maya urged, taking his arm with a grip that felt surprisingly strong. "You have a target on your back." His pulse raced, confusion swirling. The man was watching him closely, eyes cold and calculating like a predator waiting for the perfect moment to attack. "Wait!" He hesitated, torn between the frantic situation and the sudden urgency racing through him. Before he could decide, Maya yanked him sideways. The world around him blurred, and all he saw was the intensity in her eyes. "Trust me," she pleaded, her voice steady despite the chaos. We have to move. This is bigger than us. As they raced away, leaving the commotion and the looming figure behind, James's chest tightened. Questions ricocheted in his mind. Who was this woman, really? What did she know? Suddenly, everything began to unravel, and trust felt like a fragile shard in the stormy sea of uncertainty. Everything could change in an instant. Would they survive the truth? Would the bond they forged hold or snap like the tension in the air? As James followed Maya into the night, shadows clawed at them, whispering secrets he had yet to uncover. James followed Maya through the chaos, the thrum of urgency pulling them deep into the night. Her grip on his hand felt like a lifeline, fierce and unyielding as they weaved through the crowd, the noise of panic rushing past them. Inside, he was torn, questions swirling like a storm. Who was Maya, really? And what did she know that could put them in danger? Just a little longer, she said, glancing back at him, determination dancing in her eyes. We need to get to a safe place. But even in the midst of the chaos, their footsteps echoed louder. Glass crunched beneath their feet. I don't understand, James panted, looking down into Maya's intense gaze. If you knew all this, why didn't you tell me sooner? She opened her mouth, but before she could answer, a sudden explosion rocked the night. A flash of light, a deep, booming crash somewhere behind them. The ground shook. An echo of disbelief rose from the crowd. Screams of terror cut through the air like knives. Maya! Fear clawed at James's chest, making breathing harder. What was that? He turned just in time to see a cloud of smoke erupt into the sky, lit by the orange glow of flames. Panic trickled into the alley, people pouring away from the source, faces twisted with shock and horror. We need to go, Maya urged, yanking him deeper into the shadows. Now! They ran, legs pumping, heartbeats racing. James barely registered the chaos around him. Only Maya's voice urging him on, guiding him through the maze of the alleyways. But doubt crept in, shadows of uncertainty weaving through their connection. Just as they reached a dead end, the world jolted. A figure appeared before them, clothed head to toe in black, the face concealed, the stance menacing. James's breath caught. A flash of recognition sparked fear. Look who we have here, the figure said, voice cold as ice. James Carter and his little friend. I've been waiting for this moment. Suddenly, the figure yanked off the mask, and James's world teared. It was Blake, but the cold rage in his eyes carried something deeper. What are you doing here? James's voice was shaky, confusion pouring over him like cold water. Oh, you'll love this, Blake replied, a cruel smile twisting his lips. You see, while you were off playing the hero, trying to save the homeless woman, he leaned closer, eyes gleaming with anticipation. I've been busy. The project? It wasn't just tech, it's a weapon. But you already knew, didn't you? That's what Maya's been hiding. Isn't that right? A churning sensation unfurled deep in James's gut. The revelation rattled through him like thunder. No, it can't be true. He turned to Maya, searching for reassurance. But the look on her face shifted, shadowed with pain. What does he mean? James whispered, betrayed emotions flickering in his chest. Blake chuckled, eyes dancing with wicked delight. You really don't know? She's been keeping watch. She was always watching you, James. Reporting back to the people who want to take you down. No. Maya's exclamation pierced the air, filled with anguish. That's not what happened. James felt his heart race, pieces of a dark puzzle twisting in his mind. The connection they shared, the trust he gave. Was it all a lie? Is this true? Maya's eyes filled with desperation. James, please listen to me. I wanted to protect you. I never meant for any of this to happen. But a bitter silence fell between them. James couldn't breathe, a cold chill wrapping around his heart as he stared into the eyes of the woman he thought he was beginning to trust. Blake smirked, the look of victory dancing on his features. You were so naive, James. Your empire is crumbling. And she was the inside job. James staggered back, the alley closing in around him. The walls felt like they were spiraling. No, it can't be. As the chaos from the street pulsed up again, a siren's wail echoing too close, the truth began to dawn. What was real? What if everything he fought for had been a game all along? His mind raced, every possibility a sharp blade he couldn't escape. Could he trust anyone now? Or was he drowning in a sea of betrayal? The future hung in a precarious balance, uncertain and full of unknowns. And as Maya called his name, reaching for him, the weight of secrets filled the air, thick and suffocating, ready to pull him under. What? Hui though now? How deep did this betrayal go? James staggered back, the alley closing in around him, each heartbeat echoing uncertainty. His world felt as though it had turned upside down. Betrayed emotions flickered in his chest, looming like dark clouds overhead. He watched Maya, her desperation painted across her face, but her words were smothered by the shock still hanging in the air. James, please, she pleaded again, and for a moment, it felt like time stood still. But then, Blake let out a mocking laugh, the sound slicing through the thick tension. You know, it's cute you think you can trust her. His gaze flicked between them, a predator sizing up its prey. But here's the kicker. A loud crash echoed through the alley. The ground trembled beneath them. James whipped around, just as a figure broke through the smoke and darkness. It stumbled forward, coughing and wheezing, arms lifted in a panicked plea. James, help me! The voice was ragged, but unmistakable. Kyle! The world shifted. A friend in need, or a harbinger of more chaos? James felt his pulse quicken, his mind whirling. Kyle had always been the one who pulled him up, kept him focused. Yet now, he was Christine's name dropping through James's thoughts. Shadows of distrust, wrapping tighter, but before he could process the confusion, Kyle fell to his knees, face pale and pinched in fear. They're coming! They found me! Maya's hand tightened around James's as they both stared down bewildered. What do you mean? Kyle gasped for breath, eyes wide. It's happening, James! The project! Suddenly, an explosion of light erupted from the direction of the crowd, showering sparks across the darkened alley. Run! Blake shouted, his voice rising in panic as the earth trembled once more. The confusion hit James like a tidal wave. The sound of sirens and screaming pulsed through the chaos, drowning out thoughts, leaving fear squeezing his chest. "James, trust me!" Maya yelled over the noise, eyes locked on his. "We need to get to safety, now!" He hesitated, frozen. Should he believe her? The crumbled past loomed, and in that moment, uncertainty twisted like a knife, digging deep. The night felt alive, shouting danger and deception. "James!" Kyle's plea cut through, but as he turned back, everything snapped into focus. The figure emerging through the smoke wasn't just shadow, it was a man dressed in black, face obscured beneath a hood. The storm behind him grew, swirling with chaos, shifting toward them like a predator fixing on its prey. "What the hell?" James whispered, dread twisting in his stomach. Then came the revelation, an electric rippling through the crowd. "You shouldn't have gotten involved," the man breathed, voice low and dangerous. Each heartbeat felt louder and more hollow, suspending them in time. "Who are you?" James demanded, adrenaline roaring through him. But the man stepped forward, eyes ablaze beneath the hood. "Your father sent me." The revelation cut deep, slicing through past and present like glass. Shock washed over James, sensation tingling under his skin. "My father?" he gasped. "You think I'm lying? About her?" The man pointed accusingly at Maya. "She's not just a nobody. She was trained to infiltrate. You fell for her while she's been feeding him information." Time seemed to slow. James's mind raced, processing the sudden shift like a switch flipping. Betrayal wrapped around him, squeezing tighter. Maya's expression morphed, shifting from fear to understanding, as realization dawned. "No!" She reached for him, the urgency monotone. "I wasn't!" "Enough!" The figure barked, stepping closer, shadows swallowing the space between them. "You need to choose, James. Are you with your family? Or are you with her?" James felt the air rush out of his lungs. Everything he thought he knew spiraled, crumbling like ash. The stakes rose, questions clawing their way back into his thoughts. Could he possibly trust someone he now had to doubt? The alley felt tighter than ever, fate hanging in the balance, vulnerable and exposed. "What now?" Maya's voice trembled, reaching out through the chaos. But the ground beneath them roared as the figure stepped back, the darkness closing in. The tension thickened, ready to explode. James's world quaked, unraveling into a chasm of uncertainty that threatened to pull them all under. Could trust be rebuilt from the ashes? Or were they all pawns in a game they couldn't escape? The choice stood between them like a blade, and as the shadows cloaked them, dread twisted deeper than ever. A silent scream echoing in the night. James's heart thundered in his chest, the figure before him surging with an aura of malice. "You think I'm lying?" The words shot through the chaos. His pulse raced, fear coursing through him like ice water as Blake stepped closer, shadows cloaking his intentions. "This isn't just tech, James. It's a weapon." The weight of betrayal lingered in the air like fog, thick and suffocating. Time stretched, everything spiraling around him, tugging him between the past and present. Maya stood with her head bowed, vulnerability etching lines across her face. "James, please!" Her hands trembled, pleading with him to see the truth behind the facade. "You don't get it!" Blake barked, puncturing the fragile moment. "They want you to fail. They want to destroy everything." Then Kyle erupted into the scene, blood staining his shirt, desperation written all over his features. "The project is compromised!" he gasped, collapsing beside them. James felt the ground shift beneath him. Panic wrapped around him, tightening like a noose. "What do you mean?" he demanded, urgency flooding through his veins. Kyle's gaze darted between Blake and Maya. "They've been watching you! All of you!" He pushed out his words, breath hitching as he fought for air. "You're all pawns in a game you don't even understand." Blake sneered, relishing the chaos. "All it takes is one choice, James. One choice between loyalty and betrayal." Maya's eyes glimmered with something fierce as she stepped closer, her voice a whisper touching the edge of fury. "I'm not your enemy. I came to warn you." The walls of the alley seemed to close in, the darkness pulsating with tension. James was caught in a storm, heart racing against the tide of uncertainty. "You expect me to trust you now?" He faced her, trembling with doubt. "Maya!" Kyle gasped again, eyes filled with urgency. "We have to move. Time isn't on our side." Suddenly, the ground shook, a distant boom echoing through the night as the world split around them. Sirens wailed in the distance, drawing closer, urgency heightening the atmosphere. James felt the threads of betrayal tugging at him, but deep within, a flicker of hope sparked. "I'm done running," he said, determination creeping into his voice. "If this is my fight, then I'll face it, with both of you." A rush of relief swept over Maya's features, while Kyle nodded, hope igniting. "Let's finish this together!" The alley became a battleground where shadows lurked like unseen enemies. They charged forward, Maya leading, heart pounding against the crisp night air. As they reached the street, lights flickering above, James stared into the chaos unfolding. People fled, but the surge of adrenaline emboldened him. "We need to find the truth." With every step, they moved closer to the answers that awaited them. Suspicion hung thick, but trust flickered between them. Fragile but alive. In that heartbeat where hope hung precarious, James caught Maya's hand, squeezing it tight. "No matter what happens, we face it together." As they stepped into the looming chaos beyond the alley, the weight of their pasts crashed into the dawn of possibility. Together, they would uncover the truth that loomed ahead and perhaps reclaim the future they never thought they could hold. But shadows loomed ever close, and as dawn broke, the light seeped into the cracks of doubt, leaving behind a trail of questions unanswered. What would they uncover? The journey stretched before them, uncertain, but not alone. You have to subscribe now. Don't wait even a second longer. This is the moment to show your support for stories just like this. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What do you think will happen next? And don't forget to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Your support matters.